Welcome to I See Dad People, providing a voice to the modern dad around the world, sharing stories, having a laugh, and cringing at Eugene's I don't know where he found them dad jokes. So let's go. It's Friday, Friday. Man, that song has been stuck in my head for the last few weeks, and what a song. And I will admit, I listened to the full song the other day, and it's even better in inverted commas than the actual clip. Anyway, it is Friday. We have here are some highlights from today's episode.
Over the years, I've trained so many dads that like health and fitness doesn't become a priority to them. I know, and I get it. Kids are always going to be your priority, but in my opinion, to be the best father you can possibly be, you have to be as healthy as possible, as mobile as possible, and to have a high quality of life, and to be here as long as you possibly can for your children. I think a lot of people's problem is when they do make the decision to go and change their life and their health, they try and change 50 things at once. So they try and clean up their diet, take their supplements, go to the gym. I strongly believe you need to start a one habit change. I've got a funny story actually about my dad and The Rock.
All right, so as you can see from our highlights, we have some fun and interesting conversations today with Philip. But first, our podcast today is really around, looking after yourself, fitness-wise, making sure that you're looking after yourself so that you can be in the right state of mind, both mentally and physically, to be there for your family and for the people around you so you can be the best you. And so a lot of that today, we're really going to focus on fitness. Really, actually, fitness was one of the reasons why me and Eugene actually got started with this podcast in the first place. We did talk a bit, but I think since we've been in COVID-19 and we both have kids around the same age, we just ended up more talking about advice and I wouldn't even say advice, I would say sharing ideas, because advice is dependent on who's saying it and who's listening to it, right? It was more about sharing ideas and what's working for you to see if it sparks something for the other person. So one of the things is fitness, and I'll be honest, Eugene kind of got me back on my fitness track a couple of months ago when we started here, and I managed to get down to a weight that I was hoping to get down to for a long time, a healthy weight, but I felt good and I feel better. And I think that's a great one. And maybe, Eugene, you can kind of share with everyone how our kind of journey started together in terms of fitness. And fitness has always been a key strength in our bond as friends since we've known each other, actually.
Yeah, big time. It actually started when we met each other in South America, in Cusco in Peru. And we started training over there. And the training that we did was just next level stuff. And you have to bear in mind that the altitude over in Cusco is not very forgiving. It's very tough over there. But we struck a friendship and a partnership. There was myself, you, Colm, Connor. What we used to do is we used to get up early in the morning in Cusco. We used to stick on our scrambled eggs and put them in our little plastic pots. So we'd have our nutrition before going to the gym. We'd go, and there was this wonderful human being called Ida Anaki. And she was a personal trainer, is a personal trainer. And she kind of took us under her wing and trained us like dogs for quite an amount of time. And the training was really, really good. It was outstanding. So we've kept that bond throughout the years, and I think it was as far back as 2013 or 14 when we met each other and when we started training. So that's quite a long time. Like, it's 2020 now, and obviously myself and Steve are quite good friends, amazing friends, and we stay in touch a lot and we help each other a lot. So whenever either one of us is going through a bad time, I'll have no problem getting in touch with Stevie, and he's always steered me in the right direction. Stevie likewise will get in touch with me, and I'll try and get him moving in the right direction. Not the only way, but the best way that I know to move people in the right direction is through training. And I have a long background in playing competitive sports and stuff like that. So I know how to channel a lot of my energy through physical training. And that's what happened. Myself and Stevie, he was not feeling too great, which happens as dads very often. But we decided to get in touch and set up a little program as such, and start moving in the right direction with training. So, Stevie, do you want to inform our listeners on little things and tips and tricks that you've been trying at home?
Yeah, so I think one of the things we've done is, myself and my wife used to do spin classes. And actually, spin classes was the first thing I did in Peru, actually, when I got there. And it is at over 11,000 feet, if I remember correctly. So I tell you, it takes a bit to catch your breath. But when I went there the first time, and this was 10 years ago, the first time I went there, I used to go to spin classes. And after about 5 minutes on the bike, I was gone. But after about 2 months, I was doing back-to-back spin classes in Cusco, and I felt good. I was fit. I mean, and the spin classes all, and Joanna, my wife, loves spin classes. And before Saoirse was born, we actually used to go to a spin studio once or twice a week near our house in Queen Anne, and we used to go do spin classes there, and it was great. It just kind of got the blood pumping, got everything. And so what we did was, Peloton is not a cheap investment, but what we did was I found a little guide online to buy your own spin bike and put it together, and then you just get the app, and which is now on your TV, and it's much cheaper. I think it's like $12.99 a month versus the 30 something. And so if you don't need the advanced pieces of Peloton, all the team classes, but you want the basic to try it out, you can get a really good bike, which I can actually share the setup that I have actually, which is on Amazon. And I think, it's you're less than $400 all in for everything, right? And that's probably even including 6 months of the Peloton subscription as well, at least, and that everything. And that's a good one, but it's still cost, right? And the other one I had was, I don't have a lot of space. Eugene, you have your garage, but we don't have a garage. So we live in a townhouse which doesn't have a garage, so we are limited on space. So I did a lot of research and different ones, and on Kickstarter I actually found a company called Gorilla Bow. Now the bow is not super cheap, I'll be honest, but it's a resistance bands bow, and I think you can start simply with just some resistance bands. And I think if you're looking for something cheap, you're 20-30 bucks will get you some resistance bands. And I started reading about resistance bands, and there's kind of this feeling like, oh, they'll never be as good as weights, traditional weights. But what I realized is from reading is resistance bands actually have an advantage over weights for certain things, because what happens is when you're lifting a weight, when you're starting off in the weight, that's where you're putting a lot of the effort. And then when you get to the top, you're kind of finishing that effort. Whereas in a resistance bands, it's completely the opposite. So you're working your muscles differently. So when you're actually at the end of that exercise, you're actually that toughest piece of it. And so actually resistance bands are great. And I've done some research on guys who've done resistance bands. Big guys have done resistance bands for a couple of months. So there's kind of this feeling that you'll never get where you want to be. Now, I think ideally, if you can do both, I think that's a great combination. But if you can only do one, I think the resistance bands is great, because you can put it in a box under your bed. You can bring it with you to the park. You could do whatever. They're so compact. So back to our previous, I'll finish with a previous quote that we had from the previous podcast, which is, success is the sum of small efforts repeated day in and day out. And I think that getting something small like a couple of resistance bands and spending 15 minutes, that's all, like 15 minutes of your day is not a whole lot of time. And so if you can even get those 15 minutes, it's a good start. And then start building on top of that, adding an extra 5 minutes, adding a couple of new exercises. When you feel good about it, maybe getting into an 8-week plan. There's so much information and so many plans on the internet, but it's just getting that motivation in the morning just to try something. So that's been kind of my journey through this. And time is the key. Do what you can commit to. Don't commit to what you can't, right? If you start off in the hour and it's a struggle to get the hour, and it's stressful to get the hour, and you don't enjoy the hour. My advice is, from my perspective, is start with the time that you can commit to.
For people starting off on their fitness, there's so much you can do with body weight. There's a lot you can do. You can kick into and get your body moving and adapting to working out. You want to keep yourself challenged. Set yourself a goal, have a vision, have a target for each workout of something that you're going to do. So much like what we were saying on Tuesday, you have the power to control all this with your workouts. So make a small change. Don't just try and change the world with what you're doing straight away. Make a small change, dedicate yourself to it, and do it.
Yeah. I think it's time, Eugene, for some of our random questions. We have a good one with Philip, as we said, coming up, but let's get a couple of these questions out. Well, I'll start today. Here we go. Do you like classical music?
Yes, actually, I do. I wouldn't know my backside from my elbow when it comes up to providing you the name of one, but often to concentrate when I'm in work, I'll stick on my earphones and I will listen to some classical music. Apparently it's supposed to be very good for relaxing, and you learn quite a lot as you're reading when you listen to classical music. So answer in short, yes. Okay, my question for you, what are your biggest fears?
Tsunamis.
Fears, do you have anything else?
I think tsunami. I'm trying to think what other fears I have. I think just global warming, what it's going to do for my kids' future. I think that's probably the thing that comes into my mind. I think the life we've lived with startups and things, and just a crazy history as you've had, not a lot of other things that faze me as much as tsunamis. I should probably move away from the coast. What sci-fi movie or book would you like the future to be like?
Sci-fi movie. What sci-fi movie would I like it? You have me caught on my heels here.
Most of them are not very positive futures, in fairness.
Yeah, they're not. Let me pick a moment out of a movie. Demolition Man. I would love to walk into a room and just go illuminate, and the lights would come on. Yeah.
Eugene, you're
It's a
not
small
serious,
thing,
are you?
but a good thing.
Are you serious, Eugene?
Well, I know Alexa can probably do that for us, but yeah, I haven't got one of those yet. I'm a bit scared that Alexa could be listening to everything. So, if you could change 3 things about your country, what would you change? Now, Ireland is a country now. Yeah.
I would change the education system. I would have them have more robust technologies for being able to deal with current situations like they have right now, where they have separate systems for poor people who are just didn't get to do their leaving cert, looking for exams. And I think they need to have a much better system in Ireland for education behind it. It's stressful enough moving into a life, moving from, into college or university life, to not have to deal with bad technology systems that are making it even more stressful for the young people. This day and age, it's unacceptable. That's my thing. That's the big thing I would change in Ireland. I think there's a lot of good things in Ireland that are great. The other one is the health system. I think that there's some improvement in the health system there. My best word is the health system feels very laid back is my best thing. And yeah, it's a bit like our culture a little bit, but it's very laid back, where maybe it could be a little less laid back. Who has taught you most of the information you use regularly?
Myself. It's my style of learning. In school or in college, yeah, it was good having your lectures and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, you just scribble down what's on the board. They're not necessarily teaching you; they're just regurgitating what's on the page in front of them. So you take in all of that information. There's so much information available to you now. You can go away and do with it what you want. So I have taught myself a lot as an adult. As a young kid, obviously, I'd have to mention my mother and father, who have steered me on a on a pretty good path in terms of how to behave in the normal world and, you know, be a good person. I suppose there's two different sides to that question, Stevie. Let me see. Is it worse to fail at something or never attempt it in the first place?
Never attempt it. I think it is good to fail as long as you can fail fast. Give it a go. Failure is the only way to learn. I think when you're heading into something and you're afraid of failing, I think quick planning is important. I think, you know, it's a cliched saying, but fail to prepare, prepare to fail is fair. I think that you just can't go into something with an attitude of fail fast. You have to also know that you need to prepare. You need to understand what you're going into, but you don't want to spend more time, you know, thinking about doing something. Sometimes you just got to do it. Yeah. All right. Good takeaway before we head over to Philip, I think today is, you know, it's in your control. Try and make it a habit. And habits are an interesting thing because from what I've read is if you do something regularly, it becomes a habit. And until you break that habit, you'll keep kind of in that flow. And I think part of having a successful habit, and I know habits often have a negative feeling towards them, right? But I think the positive habits is start what you can commit to, that you feel like you can do, and then build upon that, build a foundation upon that. Always be striving to do just that little more. But if you can't feel like you can commit to that level a little more, that's okay. Wait until the moment that you can, but always have that goal to strive to it. And the worst scenario there is when you try to overcommit to something, and whatever ends up happening is that you end up not doing anything at all. So that's the main goal, that you're not trying. That's the goal, is doing something is better than doing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
agreed. And it's great that we have Philip Gonçalves lined up as well, and he can go into greater depths about training than we can, and so make sure and stay tuned. Get out your pen and paper.
We're over to Philip now.
It's Friday, gotta get down on Friday. Everybody's looking forward to the weekend. Friday, getting down on Friday. Everybody's looking forward to the weekend.
With us today, we have Philip Gonçalves, who is a personal trainer. And Philip runs an online group training program specifically for dads called the Phit Dad Performance Programme. That's PHIT. The primary focus is performance, because as a dad, you have to be ready to perform well in a variety of different areas of life at the drop of a hat. The Phit Dad Performance Programme will help you build muscle, lose fat, increase strength, improve your mindset, boost your energy, elevate your confidence, and drive your fitness levels through the roof. So what we will do on all of our postings across various platforms is include details on how you can get in touch with Philip across his various platforms, including Instagram. Welcome, Philip.
Hi guys, thanks for having me on.
Philip is joining us from England today, while the rest of us are here in the US. So we have a bit of a time difference between us. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, Philip?
I'm Philip Gonçalves. I've worked as a personal trainer and nutritionist for the last, nearly 15 years. Over that time, I've trained my fair share of dads and granddads. I myself became a dad in 2019. And since then, it's become a mission of mine to help as many busy dads to regain control of their lives, improve their health, their fitness, and their efficiency. That is the short version.
So you also have a podcast,
Yep.
as we know. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your podcast, how it gets started, and what kind of your mission of your podcast is?
Yeah, sure. So the mission of the podcast is kind of tied into my training philosophy as well, as in trying to help busy dads. So the idea was to have dads onto the podcast who, a bit like what you guys do, can give a bit of insight to other dads to help them along their journey. Mine's mainly going to be fitness based, because that's obviously my circle that I've sort of sat in for such a long time. But potentially we could branch out over to different areas to help further diversify it.
Cheers, Philip. So Stevie and I, we came up with the concept of I See Dad People and releasing the podcast as an attempt to try and bring people together. And probably wouldn't have happened unless we actually became dads ourselves. So why did you find it so important when you became a dad to get the message out there for other dads about fitness and health and wellness?
Because I've over the years I've trained so many dads that like health and fitness doesn't become a priority to them. I know, and I get it. Kids are always going to be your priority, but in my opinion, to be the best father you can possibly be, you have to be as healthy as possible, as mobile as possible, and to have a high quality of life and to be here as long as you possibly can for your children. And I suppose it's just brought a bit more of an emotional importance to me because I actually became a dad and saw it from the other side rather than being a trainer, just training dads without really emotional connection to it.
Yeah, it's been interesting. I mean, we've talked about this a little bit, but I think your immediate reaction when you have your kid is to look after them, and it's all about them, you know, and your partner, and you forget about yourself. And I think that's the biggest thing, that the awakening moment from Eugene is you forget about yourself, and then you realize you can't look after anyone if you're not looking after yourself. So what kind of advice would you say you could give to someone this week, being a dad? What would be the first step? Because it is hard to get back into it after such a long time, especially for the first couple of months, maybe when when you have your newborn in the house. It's tough, and I think it's fair to say that most people probably don't prioritize fitness. But getting in there, how do you start?
I think obviously a lot of people are looking for some sort of motivation before they do start, but the problem with motivation is it's fleeting. So we need to look for inspiration instead, and the inspiration you to work out and to live a healthier life and to set the right example should be your child. So I don't really see what more of a nudge you can have than that kind of inspiration.
Do you have a previous experience, someone in mind, without names of course, but someone in mind that you worked with that was a dad that was struggling? Could you talk through maybe a scenario that people could relate to? You know, someone came to you and you personally worked with them.
Yeah, definitely. Over the past few years in the circle that I've trained, a lot of them are quite close friends, and there has been dads that have died at young ages, and I think that's kind of put it into a bit of perspective on how important it is to look after your health, because you want to be here, because you never know, tomorrow you might not be.
So you think focusing on a moment? I know that happens to me, right? I think you're right. You know, I didn't actually think about it, but I think the one moment is that I'm thinking of my kid's future is my daughter's name is Saoirse, and when she gets married, I want to be at the wedding. If she gets married, you know. But if she gets married, I want to be at the wedding. But I think that's been my focus point. I don't know why, but that has been the rallying point. You know, and I even think of my own dad, and you know, and I think of those moments and things of moments of her life that I would like him to be fit, right? To make it. And we have those conversations. It didn't really click until you just said it. I think I was processing for a while there. But you want them there for those moments, you know. And even I have those conversations with my dad. I'm like, you know, these moments are coming up, and we really want you to be there, and I want to be there for the wedding. I think that's the focus point. I don't want to be sick. I don't want not to be here. You know, I want to be in good health. So that's a good point that I don't think it really clicked with me till today. It's good motivation.
And I think as to what you're saying as well about your dad, I lost my dad this year, and he was very healthy, very fit, and always set like a really good example for me and my brother. And fitness has always been a part of our life because of that. So yeah, I think it is important for us to try and, like you said, to try and push your parents to adopt a healthier lifestyle, because even making a change now can make a big difference and extend life to, he could be there for your daughter's wedding.
No, exactly. And what about COVID-19? So we're in the middle of this. Of course, that I think it allows for more excuses in a way. And I love, as Eugene knows, I do like Arnold's. One of my best phrase of the year has been, "You can have excuses or results. You can't have both." And that has been my motivator. You don't know how many times I get up in the morning and that's always in my head. And it does. It just gets me over that line to work out, you know. And what's thinking of that with all the it's very easy to come up with an excuse not to.
Oh yeah, but the thing is, it's so, like you said, we've had excuses for years, and we know it's been proven. You don't need exercise, you don't need a gym membership to improve your health. And I mean, if you want to combine it with your family. Me and my wife, we try and make sure that after dinner every night, we go out for a walk as a family. And even walking is such an underestimated extender of your health. You don't need to be going to the gym and lifting weights. It's great. I love weights. And even if you want to do things at home, so you've not got the time to do things, a kettlebell, you can invest in one of those quite secondhand on eBay. Even body weight stuff. I think one of you mentioned that you use bands at home as well when you can. So I mean, the wonderful thing is we've got Google now. A quick search on Google and you can find yourself a 12-week home workout routine that will keep you motivated and be able to do it in a short amount of time.
I'm putting myself now in the shoes of someone who doesn't train regularly and who was just started or is approaching to start training.
Mm-hmm.
With being angled around the last question around COVID-19, a lot of people being stuck at home and you don't have the gym, what would be the starting point for someone looking to change their life, improve their health, and to adopt a healthy style?
I think a lot of people's problem is when they do make the decision to go and change their life and their health, they try and change 50 things at once. So they try and clean up their diet, take their supplements, go to the gym. I strongly believe you need to start with one habit change. And whether that be adding vegetables to your meals, improving your protein consumption, or trying to hit a step target today. It's so easy now. All of us have got step counters on our smartphones or smartwatches, whatever we have. That one habit could just start a snowball effect, and then from there you get rolling, get some wind in your sails, and you make the next change of habit and keep the consistency. It's a lot of time people are trying to find, I like to say, consistency over intensity. If you can carry on doing something consistently rather than doing it intensely once in a while, you're onto a winner.
And I was just thinking of something actually just came into my mind. There was Kieran mentioned a phrase on our last podcast was, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, walk with others. And your sentence of going out with your family and going for a walk is kind of doing a lot of things, right? It's not only getting fitness, it's fitness for your family, even that walk, and also you're spending some time that's not sitting in front of the TV, which is really great. And I guess the question that me and Eugene has, and one of the reasons we actually got started on this podcast was the fact of Eugene recommended a program for me that was I wanted to lose a couple of pounds that I've wanted to lose for a while. It's always you get a little bit and then you move back, but I was doing that alongside my fitness. But what I realized is on the off days, having a partner, it keeps you going. It really does, because that person messages you or sends you, "Hey, I just worked out," and you're like, "Gotta work." That just gives you enough to send it back and say, "I worked out." You know, with people working from, with people being at home, it sounds like it's still important to have a support community around it, whether that's your family to help you, to help you do that. Because if we're on Avatar Nutrition, which is a macro program that I was on, but it does require your family to help, because you have to get the scales out, you're measuring, you're balancing your proteins, fats, and carbs, but your family has to be in on it, because it's a little bit, right? Because they're like, oh, you're going to cook something, could you just separate out the meat just a little bit, and but my wife has been very supportive of that. And but the question I was coming to was, when you're at the gym, you can get those personal trainers. So for you, what's your opinion now on, I still think there's a lot of value in having a personal trainer, even remote, even more now, because it's even easier, and someone to bring you on that journey to provide you the advice. I know, reaching out to Eugene, even using the resistance bands, there's times when I'm doing deadlifts and I'm asking my question, I'm looking at the video, I'm like, this doesn't feel right? There's something just doesn't feel right. Am I doing it right? So I think there's still that opportunity for remote or online, personal training. Do you have any thoughts around that one?
Yeah, I mean, well, since lockdown, that's kind of where the fitness industry was forced to pivot that way. So you probably saw it. I'm sure you saw it on Instagram, like your Zoom workouts and your free workouts on Instagram and whatnot. But I think that obviously the main thing that you get from a personal trainer, you shouldn't have someone there who's just counting your reps, because you're both wasting your time there, really. A lot of people then have their personal training session, and they won't see their client till the following week. But the real key to your success comes within the accountability that relationship brings. So it is a case of checking in. Just it's as simple as sending an email or a text or a call saying, how's the diet going this week? Do you need any help? Have you got any social engagements that I can maybe help you manipulate your calories around, or bring in some sort of idea to help with that? But yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting landscape for how the personal training industry does maneuver now. It seems to be a lot. It was moving somewhat away from real one-on-one training to small group training. So you're still getting that little bit of a personalized touch, but a lower price point. But I don't know, with all the new social distancing measures, gyms are a lot of them dead over here. I don't know about there, but it's not a good place at the moment.
We often look for inspiration when we're going into a workout. I know for myself, sometimes what I do is I put on YouTube videos, and you have that real motivational music in the background of someone talking and giving speeches, like you have Dwayne Johnson, you have Arnold Schwarzenegger. I think even the Ultimate Warrior comes up with one of them from the old wrestling days, and I love it. I also just look at really inspirational people out in the field and inspirational dads. I look at my own dad as well, who worked his ass off for so many years for us. Who would be inspirational people or inspirational dads in your field that you look to?
I mean, I'm going to echo your sentiment. Definitely my own father, who gave us everything. But to someone who more of your listeners would know about, has to be the one and only Dwayne the Rock Johnson. So I know you're both big fans of him, and I think as dads, we can look at him getting up at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, banging out his workout, singing to his daughters, then heading off to the studio to film for 12 hours. I mean, he does it all, and he's the male Beyonce, isn't he? Like we all love him.
Yeah, he's awesome. He's awesome. Like,
yeah, everybody does. Everybody loves him. I know. Do you know my mother-in-law? Her favorite person is The Rock. If we should together try and get The Rock on our podcast together. Both one of our podcasts we should get on together. I think it'll be a great one. And he seems like such an inspiration as a dad. Just following his Instagram, I think that should be our goal.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you're ever short of motivation, you just whack on one of his videos, and you're probably going for a deadlift PR that day. I've got a funny story actually about my dad and The Rock. So two of my heroes combined. My dad worked for a hotel chain in London, and whilst he was The Rock was filming, must have been Fast and Furious 5 or 6. He stayed in the hotel that my dad stayed in. My dad worked in, sorry. Had his cross trainer in his room, all his food prepared there, of course. And all the managers of the hotel had a meeting. They went through the list of VIP guests they had in that week. And my dad's boss was like, and we've got Dwayne the Rock Johnson down here. And my dad's like slammed his fist on the table and said, "That's my son's favourite." So totally unprofessional in this meeting. My dad got a bit excited, obviously. Fast forward a few hours, and my dad's in the lift, peers up, and there's this big towering figure, and it's Dwayne the Rock Johnson. And he luckily got the Rock's autograph. So at home, I've got 2 Philip piece from Dwayne Johnson, courtesy of my dad.
That's brilliant.
I love it. 2 of your heroes together. That's
yeah, exactly.
I think we might be ready for a dad joke, and then I know it's the moment. I don't know where you found them.
Hello, darkness, you used to have better jokes before you were a dad.
Really?
Ready for act? Let's go.
I regret rubbing ketchup in my eyes, but that's hindsight for you. No.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
I broke my finger last week. On the other hand, I'm okay. Are people born with photographic memory, or does it take time to develop?
So I think it's time for the rapid fire question round. Eugene, are you ready?
Are you ready? Oh, I get it.
Really?
Oh my God.
Start the clock. Who is your favorite TV dad?
Without a doubt, Dwayne the Rock Johnson.
Nice. Your favorite day of the week?
Monday,
Aerobic or anaerobic?
anaerobic all day long.
What is your favorite part of England?
It is Fulham.
What is the most treasured part of your sports memorabilia collection?
My Sean Davis signed football boot.
Nice. And Sean Davis is your favorite player too, right?
Yes, all-time
Nice.
favourite Fulham player.
Is it wrong for a vegetarian to eat animal crackers?
I guess it depends where you lie in your ethics.
Can you say something in an Irish accent?
Oh, here we go. Welcome everybody to the Icy Dad People podcast. Oh, so much better.
I love it. Would you rather invisibility or super strength?
Invisibility. So I can go to the gym and get super strength.
I was hoping you were going to finish with that.
Yeah. You can also sneak up on your clients as well, just see if they're lying.
Exactly. They all are.
What is your favorite quote of all time?
Impossible is nothing.
Chest day or leg day?
Definitely chest day, because whoever says they love leg day is a psychopath.
If you could travel back in time, what period would you go to?
I'd go to the Viking period, definitely.
Place you most want to travel to?
New Zealand.
Nice. We'll put you in touch with Glenn Sturgis, who was a former guest. He's also a personal trainer, so that would be great.
As long as you're not afraid of penguins. For some reason, there's loads of penguins running around his town. I don't know what that's about, but
What, in New Zealand?
yeah, his wherever he lives is famous for penguins. It's like the last thing you would think New Zealand, a place in New Zealand would be famous would be penguins.
I was about to say exactly the same thing. It's the last thing I would even put in New Zealand is penguins.
Isn't it the worst? It sounds like the worst excuse that you could use for not going to work. Sorry, I'm just backed in with all these penguins.
Penguins crossing the road.
Yeah. What does a child need to be happy?
Love and care all the time.
Good answer. What is your favorite childhood TV show?
Bananas in Pyjamas.
Do you think you can sing it?
I can give it a go for you.
Yes, I'll join you. Stevie, count us in.
I'll count you in. And Eugene, you haven't tried to sing this in a long time, I'm assuming, right? 3, 2, 1, go.
Bananas
in pajamas.
Are coming down the stairs. Bananas in pajamas are something.
Everywhere.
There was something about cucumbers, avocados in.
Oh no, it's zucchinis in bikinis.
Oh yeah.
Well, I don't think we did Bananas in Pajamas any justice anyway. It is still not as bad as Stephen Morrissey trying to do a cover of Skinny Love.
Exactly.
So we leave it there today, guys. Thank you so much for joining, Philip. It was an absolute pleasure having you on.
Thank you for having me. I've loved it.
Thanks, Philip, again for coming on the show. It's been absolutely great meeting you and having you with Steve and I today. And speaking for both Steve and I, you've absolutely given us both that added incentive as dads to be here as long as possible for our loved ones through, again, achieving that high quality of life. And for our listeners, do remember, you don't need a gym and all the latest and greatest gear to get started on your own fitness journey. To quote Philip, remember, consistency over intensity, one habit change, and finally, impossible is nothing. All right, we leave it there today, guys. Take care.
Thanks for joining us today on I See Dad People. If you would like to check out the rest of our podcasts and be the first to hear our new ones, you can visit us at icdadpeople.com or follow us on Instagram at icdadpeople_official, and we will see you next time. And remember, I see dad people. I see them all the time.